There are moments when prayer feels like an intrusion, when the weight of what you have done, or what you have failed to do, makes the very idea of approaching God feel presumptuous, like walking into a throne room when you know you do not have the credentials, like asking for grace when you suspect, somewhere in the back of your mind, that you have already exhausted whatever supply you were originally allocated. When the distance between where you are and where you think God is feels not like a gap to be crossed, but like a statement about your disqualification. If you have ever felt that way, if you feel something like that even this morning, then today's word is not gentle encouragement layered on top of that feeling. It is not a spiritual pep talk designed to make you feel better temporarily without addressing what is actually driving the distance. It goes deeper. It goes to the structure of redemption itself, to the design of salvation, to the permanent and unrevocable arrangement that Jesus secured at the cross. To tell you something that changes not just how you feel about prayer, but how you understand your entire relationship with God. Hebrews 4:16 says, "Let us then approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need." Let us then. This is written in the imperative form, not a passive suggestion, not a gentle nudge, but an active call, a summons, an instruction. Approach. Come forward. Do not stand at the door. Do not hover at the edges, waiting for a signal that you are welcome. Do not hold back because your sense of unworthiness has been louder than the invitation. Approach. Walk toward the throne. The throne of grace is not a throne you earn your way to. It is a throne you are summoned to, with confidence, because of what has already been done on your behalf. The context of Hebrews 4 is essential here, because verse 16 is not a standalone command floated in theological thin air. The writer has spent the preceding verses establishing the reason the approach is possible. He has reminded us that Jesus, our great high priest, has passed through the heavens. He has gone before us into the very presence of God. He has made the path. And then verse 15, immediately before our text, says something that is one of the most humanizing and comforting statements in all of Scripture. He was tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. He was tempted in every way, just as we are. Jesus was not a spiritual superhero passing through human life at a safe distance from its difficulties, untouched by the weight of it. He knows what exhaustion feels like, the kind that settles into the bones after a long day. He knows what it is to be misunderstood by the people closest to you. He knows what grief does to a person. He wept at the tomb of his friend. He knows the particular anguish of asking for a difficult cup to pass, of praying in the darkness of Gethsemane while his friends slept. He understands your weakness, not abstractly, not theoretically, but from the inside, from experience, from having walked in human skin through the same kinds of pressure, temptation, and sorrow that visit you. And because of that, because we have this particular kind of high priest who knows exactly what we are carrying, we can approach. The throne is not a throne of examination this morning, where you must defend your spiritual record before you are admitted. It is a throne of grace. And grace, by definition, flows toward those who have nothing adequate to offer in return. Let us stay with the phrase, throne of grace, for a moment, because it is a theologically loaded combination of words. A throne speaks of authority, of power, of a king who rules. It speaks of the absolute sovereignty of the God who sits upon it, the one who made everything and sustains everything and holds all things together. A throne in most contexts in human history, has been a seat of judgment. Kings on thrones issued verdicts. They had the power to condemn. And that is part of what makes the phrase "throne of grace" so startling. Because grace is not what thrones typically dispense. Thrones typically dispense justice. Thrones typically demand what is owed. But this throne, the throne of the one who made you, who loves you, who sent his own Son so that the distance between you and him could be permanently closed, this throne is called grace. What you will find at this throne is not a reckoning for everything you have gotten wrong. What you will find is mercy for what you have gotten wrong, and grace, active, generous, timely help for what you are currently facing. Mercy covers the past. Grace covers the present and the future. Both are available at this throne, and both are available to you right now in your time of need. Your time of need. That phrase deserves a moment of its own. The writer of Hebrews does not say, "Approach when you have adequately prepared," or "Approach when your faith is strong and your heart is clean and your spiritual disciplines are in order." He says, "Come in your time of need. Come precisely when things are hard. Come when you are at the end of yourself. Come when you have failed. Come when you are afraid. Come when you are overwhelmed. Come when you cannot even fully articulate what you need." The time of need is exactly the right time to approach. In fact, the design of this invitation seems to be aimed specifically at those moments. As if the writer of Hebrews is saying, the throne of grace was built for exactly the kind of person you are right now. The phrase, "in our time of need," is worth noticing in its plural, inclusive form. The writer says "our," not speaking to a particularly desperate individual as if they are the exception, but including himself, the original readers of this letter who were under enormous pressure, and every believer who would read these words afterward. No one is exempt from times of need. No level of spiritual maturity places you beyond the reach of difficulty. No depth of theological understanding insulates you from seasons of genuine weakness. Which means the throne of grace is not a resource only for spiritual beginners who have not yet learned to handle life without it. It is the permanent, always open, always supplying resource for everyone in the family of God. The person who has walked with God for 50 years needs the throne of grace. The person who began walking with God last week needs the throne of grace. The deeply studied theologian and the barely holding on newcomer both find themselves regularly and honestly in their time of need. And to all of them, to all of us, the invitation is exactly the same. Approach. Come with confidence. Receive mercy and grace. Think about what this means for how you approach prayer. So many of us have absorbed over time a kind of unspoken belief that we should clean ourselves up before we come to God, that we should resolve the ongoing struggle before we ask for help with it, that we should be doing better spiritually before we ask for more grace, that we should have answered the last unanswered prayer before we bring a new one. But Hebrews 4:16 dismantles all of that. Come in your time of need. Bring the need itself. Do not wait until you have resolved the need to bring it. Bring it now, in its unresolved, complicated, still uncertain state, and receive mercy and grace to help. The supporting passage for today deepens this truth by showing us what this access to the throne actually rests on. In Hebrews 7:25 we read, "Therefore he is able to save completely those who come to God through him, because he always lives to intercede for them." He always lives to intercede for them. Not, he interceded once at the cross and now the arrangement is in place. He always lives to intercede. Present tense, continuous, active. Right now, as you listen to these words, Jesus, the same Jesus who was crucified, buried, and raised from the dead, who ascended to the right hand of the Father, is living and active in the ministry of intercession for you. He is standing before the Father and speaking on your behalf. Your name is being mentioned in the throne room of heaven. Your situation is known there. You do not approach the throne alone. You approach through Him, and He is already there before you arrive. Consider what this means for the prayers that have felt most inadequate, the ones you stumbled through because words would not come, the ones you prayed at 2 a.m. when you were too exhausted to be eloquent, too frightened to be theological, too desperate to be anything other than raw. Those prayers, precisely those prayers, were not left to make it on their own. They were taken up by the one who lives to intercede. The intercession of Jesus does not wait for the quality of your prayer to reach a certain standard before it engages. He intercedes for those who come to God through Him, and coming is all that is required. This is also why prayer is never wasted. Even when the answer does not come in the way you hoped, even when the situation does not change in the timeline you expected, the prayer itself has already done something. It has been received by the one who lives to hear it. It has been carried before the Father by the one who always prays in perfect wisdom and love. And the God who receives those prayers is working in ways that are often not visible from where you are standing. He is connecting things, turning things, preparing things, and your prayer is part of the story He is writing, even when the chapter you are currently in does not yet make sense. This changes everything about how we understand the boldness to approach. The confidence to come to the throne of grace is not generated by your own spiritual achievement. It is not a reward for consistent obedience or impressive faith. It is given to you as a gift, secured by the perfect intercession of the one who always lives. The word translated completely in that verse, He is able to save completely those who come to God through Him, carries the sense of thoroughness, permanence, totality. He does not save you to a certain point and then leave you to figure out the rest. He saves completely, all the way, in every dimension of your life and your eternal destiny. His saving is not provisional. It is not subject to revision based on your subsequent performance. What He began, He will complete. What He secured, He will deliver. You approach the throne of grace held by the one who saves completely, carried by the one who always intercedes. So what does it mean, practically, to approach the throne of grace with confidence this morning? It means coming without pretense, not performing for God or presenting a curated version of your spiritual life. Coming honestly, as Hebrews says, with the freedom of speech, the openness, the complete lack of artifice that comes from a child who knows their parent is safe and trustworthy and entirely on their side. It means bringing the complicated requests, the ones where you want two things that seem to be in tension with each other, the ones where you do not even know what you are asking for, only that you need help. It means being specific, not vague, not the kind of prayer that says, "Lord, bless everyone," and then moves on without ever naming the actual need that is pressing on your heart. The throne of grace is not offended by the specific. The God who made you knows the details of your situation better than you do. But there is something that happens in the naming of a need before God. Something that brings it out of the dark interior where it has been sitting, into the light of the presence where it can be held, examined, and released. Pray with specificity. Name what is actually on your heart. It also means returning. If the same need keeps coming back, bring it back. If you have been praying about the same situation for months or years, continue to bring it. The throne of grace does not have a maximum number of visits on a particular topic. You do not wear out your welcome by returning to the same prayer. Persistent prayer is not an indication that God did not hear the first time. It is an indication of faith, of continuing to trust that the God who heard the first time is still working on what you cannot yet see. It means bringing the complicated requests, the ones where you want two things that seem to be in tension with each other, the ones where you do not even know what you are asking for, only that you need help. It means bringing the ongoing struggles you have brought before, many times, and bringing them again without shame, because the mercy at this throne is not rationed, and the grace is not diminishing. It means staying long enough to receive, not just presenting your requests as a transaction, list handed over, now I'll be on my way, but staying in the presence of the one who gives mercy and grace, long enough for them to actually be received. The throne of grace is not a drive-through. It is a place of encounter, a place where something happens not only in your circumstances, but in you, where the person who came burdened can leave with the mercy that covers what was wrong and the grace that supplies what is still needed. Let us come to that throne now together. Father, I approach your throne of grace this morning, not because I feel worthy, not because my record is clean, not because my faith has been strong and consistent. I approach because your word says I can, because Hebrews 4:16 is an invitation standing open to me right now, and I choose to walk through it. I come through Jesus, through the one who always lives to intercede for me, and I trust that his access is now mine. I come in my time of need, and this morning there is real need here. Not the kind I have managed to hide under a layer of spiritual composure, but genuine, honest need that I have been carrying. I bring it to you now without apology, because the throne I am approaching was designed precisely for this. For people who need mercy. For people who need grace. For people who cannot generate what they require on their own, and who know it. That is me, Lord. That has always been me. And you have always been the answer. I bring to you what I actually have this morning. Not a polished presentation. Not a carefully assembled case for why I deserve to be heard. Just the real me, with the real needs in this real moment. The needs that feel too large to name, and the ones that feel almost too small to mention. The fears I have been carrying quietly, not wanting to keep asking for the same thing. The areas of my life where I have failed and know it. Receive me, Lord. Let mercy cover what I have gotten wrong. Let grace supply what I am still missing. I do not come with pretense. I come openly, freely, with the freedom of speech that you have given me through the blood of Jesus. And I receive both gifts, mercy for the past, grace for right now. Thank you that Jesus stands in the gap for me. Thank you that even when I do not know how to pray, He intercedes. Even when my prayers feel scattered and inadequate, He gathers them and carries them before you perfectly. Not one cry is lost. Not one sigh is wasted. Not one desperate whispered prayer in the dark goes unheard. For the things I am facing right now that are bigger than me, I lay them before your throne. Not with an ultimatum, not demanding a specific outcome, but with trust. You see what I cannot see. You know what I do not know. And your grace is sufficient. for this, for whatever comes next, for everything between here and eternity. Let what I receive at this throne not be what I deserve, but what you freely give to those who come in need. I receive both, the mercy that covers the past and the grace that meets the present. Let both do their complete work in me today. I receive the mercy you offer this morning. Where I have failed you, I receive forgiveness, not reluctant, not rationed, but full and free. Where I have wandered, I receive your welcome back. And I receive the grace I need for today, the help I cannot generate on my own, the strength beyond my natural supply, the wisdom that only comes from the one who sees the whole picture. Let this morning be a moment that marks something. Not because everything in my circumstances is changing right now, but because I am choosing to approach, to come boldly, to believe that the throne of grace is open to me, and that what I find there is always mercy and always help in my time of need. You are a good Father who does not turn away his children. You are a God of grace who designed the throne specifically for people like me, people who need, and I need you. Let this morning be the beginning of a bolder kind of prayer. Not bolder because I have become more impressive, but bolder because I have understood more deeply what was done on my behalf. Let me walk into this day carrying the confidence that the throne of grace is open to me. Not just this morning, but always, in every moment of every day, available and generous and full of mercy. To the one who sits on the throne and to the Lamb, all honor, all glory, all praise, forever and ever. Amen.